On the outskirts of Ridgeton, where the desert heat shimmered like broken glass and every night felt 1 degree too quiet, 17-year-old Mariah Keene discovered something she was never meant to see, a massive circular imprint in the sand behind her house. Still warm as if something enormous had landed there minutes before she arrived. In the center of the imprint lay a single metal sphere, no bigger than her fist, humming with a heartbeat-like rhythm that matched hers perfectly, and when she touched it, the sky above her flickered like a dying light bulb, rearranging the stars into a pattern that spelled out her missing brother's initials. Right before a distorted voice rose from the sphere and whispered, "Mariah, they know you're looking for me." Mariah staggered back from the metal sphere, her pulse racing as the whisper dissolved into static, and before she could catch her breath, the entire imprint began to vibrate, soft at first, then strong enough to send tiny avalanches of sand rolling down the dunes. The sphere lifted off the ground on its own, hovering at her eye level, rotating slowly as thin blue lines of light carved themselves across its surface like veins waking from a long sleep. The air around her shifted from desert heat to a cold, electric tension that raised goosebumps along her arms, and then the sphere projected a hologram, grainy, glitching, but unmistakably her brother, younger and terrified, standing in a dark metallic hallway she had never seen before. He looked straight at her, eyes wide with warning, and said in a shaking voice, "Raya, if you found this, it means they've already found you. Whatever happens, don't trust anyone wearing silver." The hologram flickered violently, and before Mariah could speak, the image of her brother jerked to the side as if something had grabbed him. A metallic screech echoed through the projection, followed by a blinding flash that made the hovering sphere drop into the sand like a dead weight. Mariah lunged forward, but the sphere seared the ground with a burst of blue light, burning a perfect ring around itself as if marking a boundary she wasn't supposed to cross. Her brother's last distorted words crackled from deep inside it, "They're coming. Raya, run." And almost on cue, headlights appeared over the desert ridge behind her, silent and swift, belonging to a matte black vehicle with no license plates and windows so dark they swallowed the moonlight. Mariah's throat tightened as the vehicle rolled to a stop without kicking up a single grain of sand, and a tall figure stepped out slowly, wearing a reflective silver visor. The silver-visored figure stood completely still, as if analyzing her from the darkness, and the desert seemed to hold its breath. Mariah backed away slowly, her heel brushing against the cooling metal sphere, which pulsed once, soft but desperate, like it was warning her. The figure raised a small rectangular device that emitted a thin vertical beam of white light, scanning the air in front of it until the beam landed directly on Mariah's chest. A muted beep echoed across the dunes, followed by the figure's distorted voice saying, "Subject confirmed. Level 3 retrieval authorized." Mariah's stomach dropped. Retrieval. For her. Before she could run, the sand beneath her rippled outward in a perfect circle, like something massive and unseen had just awakened under the surface. The sphere at her feet vibrated harder, projecting a quick burst of symbols in the air. Symbols she didn't recognize but instinctively felt, and the moment the figure took a step toward her, the sphere released a shockwave that shoved Mariah backward as if trying to protect her, its light flaring with the same blue her brother's eyes had when he laughed under the Arizona sun. The shockwave hit so hard it threw Mariah into the sand, knocking the breath from her lungs, and for a second the entire desert went silent. No wind, no hum, no sound except her pounding heartbeat. The silver-visored figure staggered but didn't fall, stabilizing itself with an unnatural, mechanical rigidity, then turned its head toward the sphere as if recognizing it. Mariah watched, frozen, as the figure spoke into its wrist in a low metallic tone. "Artifact Theta 9 is active. Subject synchronized. Initiate containment before it fully bonds." Fully bonds? With her? The sphere lifted off the ground again, but this time it hovered protectively in front of Mariah, spinning faster, its blue veins brightening until they looked like cracks in a star. The figure lunged forward, reaching for her with a gloved hand. But the sphere unleashed a second burst of energy, narrower, sharper, almost like a cutting beam, that sliced through the sand and forced the figure to jump back. Then, without warning, the sphere projected a new hologram, this one not of her brother, but of a map she had never seen, full of shifting lines, moving coordinates, and a blinking red point right where she stood. Next to the blinking point appeared a single word that made her blood run cold. Mariah didn't wait to think. Her body moved before her mind did, scrambling up the dune as the sphere darted beside her like a protective guardian. Behind her, the silver-visored figure shouted an order she didn't understand. And the black vehicle's roof split open, releasing a swarm of tiny drone-like devices that flew out with a high-pitched whir, spreading across the night sky like metallic insects. Each drone emitted a thin scanning beam that swept the dunes in sharp zigzags, searching, calculating, triangulating. The sphere flashed red for the first time, panic red, projecting a rapid sequence of symbols that wrapped around Mariah's wrist like a bracelet of light, tightening with a faint click as if locking in place. Suddenly, a jolt of warmth surged up her arm and into her chest, and the desert around her seemed to slow, wind thickening, sand falling in delayed arcs, sound stretching thin like elastic. She could see the drones closing in, but now they moved as if underwater. Sluggish and far too slow to catch her, the sphere pulsed once more, syncing perfectly with her heartbeat, and whispered inside her mind, not as a voice she heard, but a thought that wasn't hers. "You're linked now. Move." Mariah sprinted across the dunes with a speed she didn't know her body was capable of, her feet barely sinking into the sand as the sphere glided at her shoulder like a glowing guardian angel. Behind her, the drones finally adjusted, their beams sharpening. Converging, locking onto the streak of distorted air she left behind as she ran, the silver-visored figure barked another command, and the drones shifted formation instantly, folding into a razor-sharp V-shape and slicing through the sky. Toward her, just as the first drone closed the distance, its beam grazing her shoulder with a sting of cold light, the sphere's blue veins burst open and formed a shimmering translucent shield around Mariah, bending the beam away like glass bending sunlight. She stumbled behind a tall dune, gasping, heart racing, only for the sphere to project a single, pulsing symbol in front of her, a door-shaped outline hovering in the air. The sand beneath the symbol softened like liquid, spinning downward, into a perfect spiral, and in her head, the sphere's thought voice whispered again, more urgent this time. Without giving herself time to question the impossibility of what she was seeing, Mariah jumped into the swirling sand spiral, expecting to hit solid ground underneath. But instead, she fell through open air. For 3 terrifying seconds, she dropped weightlessly until a soft blue cushion of energy caught her and set her on her feet inside a vast underground chamber that shouldn't have existed beneath the desert. The walls were metallic but curved like the inside of a living organism, pulsing faintly with veins of white gold light that responded to her presence. The sphere floated down after her, dimming its glow as if to blend into the chamber's soft luminescence. Mariah turned in a slow circle, speechless. Dozens of cylindrical pods lined the walls, each fogged over, each containing a sleeping figure suspended in a pale blue fluid. Except one pod stayed completely clear, empty, its glass cracked from the inside. Above the cracked pod, glowing letters formed a name Mariah hadn't seen in 2 years. Mariah Keene. Her brother. Her breath faltered. And at that exact moment, the chamber lights flickered violently, and the sphere whispered sharply in her mind. "They found the entrance. Brace yourself." The chamber shook so violently that dust drifted from the metallic ceiling like falling ash, and Mariah stumbled toward the cracked pod, her hand trembling as she reached out to touch the glass, still warm, as if her brother had broken out only moments ago. The sphere darted in front of her, glowing an urgent red, projecting a wave of symbols that pulsed like a warning siren along the chamber walls. The pods around her flickered awake one by one, monitors flashing with unfamiliar vitals, silhouettes shifting inside the blue fluid as if responding to the threat above. A deafening metallic groan echoed through the chamber as a circular hatch overhead began to unseal, sand pouring down through the widening gap, followed by the unmistakable whir of the drones descending. Mariah's heart raced. There was no way out. No door. No tunnel. No escape. Until the floor beneath the cracked pod split open, revealing a narrow, glowing shaft dropping into deeper darkness. The sphere nudged her toward it, whispering sharply in her mind. Elias escaped through here. Jump. Now. Mariah didn't hesitate this time. She launched herself into the glowing shaft just as the first drone sliced through the hatch above, its scanning beam scorching the floor where she had been standing. The shaft pulled her downward like a magnetic current, faster than falling, but smoother than sliding, wrapping her in a tunnel of blue-white light that hummed with a strange, rhythmic pulse. Images flashed in the walls as she shot past them, memories that weren't hers. A lab filled with silver-visored figures, a boy who looked like Elias strapped to a table, a swirling portal that flickered like a torn piece of reality. The light around her flared, shaking violently as if something was chasing her down the shaft. Then she heard it. A voice. Not the sphere's. Not Elias's. Not her own. A deep, cold voice echoing from above, amplified by metal and malice. Subject acquired. Shaft lockdown initiated. The tunnel walls snapped shut behind her like teeth, sealing the path and cutting off whatever was pursuing her. But the sudden closure sent a shockwave through the shaft that slammed Mariah out the other end, dropping her hard onto metallic flooring in a much darker, much colder chamber. The sphere hovered beside her, flickering weakly, projecting a final message before dimming completely. You're close, but you're not alone down here.